You are listening to Fantha Tracks.
Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
Live from London Film and Comic-Con. It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. This is Making Tracks. Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Mark Mulcaster.
It's not true. That's impossible.
I think we're on. I'm Mark Newbold. I'm a writer for Star Wars Insider magazine and I run a website called fanthatracks.com. Check it out, it's awesome. Here with Mike Edmonds to talk about, well, a bit of everything, I reckon.
Well, a bit of everything, yes. Anyway, it's nice to be here and thanks for asking me, whoever organised this thing. But, no, I started back 1978 when I first started filming. I had an ordinary job. I worked for Philips, the Dutch company, the electronics. I was a service engineer for them. I used to repair all their electrical stuff in a big workshop. And I was always interested in films and television and stuff like this. And I also had a cousin who was a set director, and he used to send me stuff and all about the films. And I always, since I was a kid, I loved films. I've still got all my film annuals from way back. I'm old, but I've still kept them all. All the nostalgia things. And I always used to take a paper called The Stage, which is all about television and theatre and stuff like this. Yeah. And one day there was an advert in there, and it's saying little people or midgets wanted. I'm not a midget. We're dwarfs. Midgets are like perfectly. Like a small child, they look. They've got all their, I've got short legs and short arms, but my trunk, when I sit next to you, I'm nearly the same height as you.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So anyway, I went up there, I phoned them up, and they said, "Oh, come up for an audition." And I never told anybody, because I thought, if I tell anybody, I'll feel daft if I don't get it, and things like that. So I just phoned them up. I had to go into London, and I took the audition and got the part. Now, the director was a very well-known director, actually, at the time, Ken Loach, who did good films, and things like this. And it was for a kids' film called Black Jack. And it was all about highwaymen and things like this. And it wasn't a lot involved, script-wise for me. It was just action and reaction and things like this. So I did this film, and it come about that an agent was there, and he asked me if I wanted to be on his books. Now, it started off, the actual film when we were filming, the director of Black Jack said, "Oh, we need you for another week. And in the meantime, I was having all my holiday time from my work to do this filming, you see. So it got to the point where they wanted me for another week. So I had to go to the boss and say, they want me for another week. So the boss said to me, "Well, Mike, you've got to make up your mind whether you work for us or you go and start filming and stuff." And since that day, I've never looked back, because agent contacted me and he said, "Oh, well, you were in the film with some of my people and I'd like you to be on my book." So it started from there. And then I was getting all these sorts of bits and pieces and stuff. Mainly special. I always call it specialist extra, not an extra, but specialist extra, because they needed a little guy and I was the little guy, so I'm special, right? That's what I always say anyway. And it went on from there, and I was gradually getting better and better parts, a lot of dialogue and things like this. And I was doing pop videos and things like this. And one of my, or not my pop video, Men Without Hats video, if you ever go home and have a look on the the internet, you can pick it up.
The safety dance, was it?
Safety dance, and I was a jester in safety dance, and and I was big on that, and I've done about 10 of those pop videos and commercials and things like this. And then I started getting into theatre. Now, filming in theatre is totally different, because when you're on that stage, you've got to remember all your lines. Whereas if you're filming, if you fluff it, they can stop, reshoot it again, reshoot it, and things like this. So
when did you realise, because not everybody takes to dialogue,
no.
And you're working for Philips one day, and you want a film set the next. When did you kind of know, I'm soaking this up, I can handle this?
I don't know, really. I just took it on, and I sort of managed to do it, and it just come to me, I still have problems remembering lines, and now I'm getting old. I even have problems remembering names, and who am I, and things like that. And so, but no, and I've been so lucky. I've worked with the Royal Shakespeare Company up at Stratford, and also at the Barbican in London on a series, The Lion and the Witch in the Wardrobe. And I did that, and I had to learn, and I learned so much from them, They're not all lovies, these things, Royal Shakespeare, and stuff like that. No, they were wonderful. They helped me, And I had a lot of friends there, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. As I say, I learned so much. And then another job come in. Are you all right? You still with me? Yes? You're not dropping off, But, another thing we did, and I've seen a couple of the guys here. I did a thing over in Holland, Belgium, and it was a musical of Snow White, Sneeuwwitje, they call it over there, Sneeuwwitje. And I had to learn, or we all had to learn, it's all in Flemish, which is like a Dutch, which is very guttural. It's different to our language, So I did that, and we were very successful, and we were, because it was Snow White, 7 dwarfs, so there were 7 little guys, and one of them's here today, Andy, he was with me, and we toured all over Holland and Belgium with the show. I mean, it was a big hit.
So when you're learning the language, and you didn't learn Flemish, you were learning the sounds, how to say them individually.
And also we had a local school teacher, and I'm still friends with him. I still get Christmas cards from him and stuff like this. And he taught us, the diction and things like this. And on my wardrobe door in my bedroom, I used to have it all written down on a big lump of white paper, all the lines. But I wrote it how it sounds to us.
Yeah.
It looks gibberish on there, but I wrote it how it sounds, with first and flat,
Yeah.
pass up, say things like this and things like that. And then we did that, and it's such a success, this. They said, right, they want us to do it in France now, at the Folies Bergère in Paris. But instead of Flemish, we had to learn it in French.
So that's another thing on the back of your wardrobe,
I learned it in French, I thought, I'm not going to let this go. I'm going to do it, prove I can do it. And I did. And
did you like the challenge? It feels like you like a challenge. So did you enjoy the challenge?
Crikey, it's easy to say, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
No, do it. If these things come up in your life, do it. Try. At least try. Attempt. But, and things like this. So it went on and on and on. And I had an agent down near Boreham Wood, and he signed me on his books. And that's where I got into, Star Wars through him.
Hello, I'm Dennis Lawson, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
So what was your awareness, and there's other stuff you've done which I want to touch on, but what was your awareness of Star Wars when you went into that situation?
It was very strange. It was strange because, Boreham Wood is just like a normal high street, high road, and then you've got the studios at Elstree at the end of it.
Yeah.
And then you step out of, Boreham Wood High Street, and you're in a completely different world.
Yeah.
There's smoke, there's rocket things, and, and people dressed up and things like that, and that's how it was. It's been so strange.
totally beyond your imagination,
Yes,
really.
at that time. But it was so good to do it. You know, I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And through there. And I used to go, when I was at Elstree Studios, I used to go and knock on production office doors saying, are you considering any little people in your film?
Yeah.
And I've got work like that.
So you were hustling as well.
Yeah.
So was that you played an Ugnaught in Empire Strikes Back first? You played an Ugnaught in Empire first?
Yeah, Empire's the Ugnaught.
Yeah.
The one where we put Han Solo in the carbon freezing chamber.
Yeah.
That was all done at Elstree.
Yeah.
And then they did the next one, you know, Revenge of the Jedi, it was called then.
Yeah.
And now it's called Return. And I was just seeing that chappie there with his Blue Harvest. That's the name we used when we filmed in the Redwood Forest over in California.
Yeah.
Because we had to film, under secrecy. Everything, otherwise you get all the fans there and everything,
And obviously Empire was a massive hit.
Yeah, it was,
And then you go into Jedi, which was the most anticipated film ever.
Yeah, and I did that. And through that, I did Roger Rabbit because, they knew me from there, and that's how it got on,
And is that how that sort of networking thing, in a way, works? Because this director gets to know you, that casting guy gets to know you.
Well, that's it. They see you, they see the rushes and things like this,
Yeah.
And I get used, quite a few times, on different things. Like in stage work, Paul Elliott, who's a big impresario, in West End shows.
Yeah.
He was, he's still a good friend, and he still uses me, you know. And I ended up with that, doing shows with Cilla Black in the Piccadilly Theatre, you know. Yeah, Jack and the Beanstalk and things like this,
I can't not ask you about Time Bandits.
Oh, Time Bandits.
I mean, what a project.
That was such a hard-working film to work on because we did all our own stunts.
Yeah.
Everything, and things like that. And it was shot in 8 weeks.
8 weeks?
The whole film, and then they, brought us in for separate scenes to tie us together. You know? And things like that. But, when we are hung upside down in trees and in the water and things like that, that was all us.
And a cracking cast. I mean, you must have had a good time on that one.
Yeah. We had Sean Connery and people like that. And, they were really, really nice people. And it was good fun. And Terry Gilliam, he's still a good mate. I still see him now and again.
I've got to say, this is nothing to do with anything, but I was lucky enough to be at the Indiana Jones premiere. And I've always wanted to meet Terry Gilliam. And at the end of the night, before I go back to the train to go back up to Birmingham, I'm in the toilets at the cinema. I look to my right, and there's Terry Gilliam. Not the moment to say, hello, Mr. Gilliam, pleased to meet you. So I kind of missed out on my chance to say hello to him properly, but,
You asked him to sign anything, did you?
Oh, I didn't, no. No, that would have been awkward.
He had his hands full at the time.
I wouldn't like to say, but he was a Python, so...
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Back to Jedi, and we've got Brian coming up on stage now. Brian Wheeler's joining us.
That's young Brian.
The bus was late. Morning.
Look at us. Hello.
Have a pew.
Thank you very much. Hello. I'm on.
Oh, you're on. Are we on? Are we good? Yep, we're on. So, Brian, welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much.
We're talking about all things Star Wars, weirdly.
Strange, isn't it?
Now you're here. What was your entry point? When did you come into the Star Wars story, so to speak?
Sorry, say again.
When did you come into the world of Star Wars?
Well, used to live in Hemel Hempstead, and in the local paper, there was an advert. They wanted people under 4'6" for a film, and I applied, and they said, "You've got a job. Go and get fitted up." Oh, hello, that's better. Go and get fitted up at the studios, and they'll cast you up for it in the costume. And I went, "Well, what's the film?" And they went, "Return of the Jedi." Revenge of the Jedi, as it was then.
Yeah.
Star Wars. I went, "Oh, that's handy for my first job." So I was an Ewok for like 4 weeks, and then I got on to be in the Jawa as well for a couple of weeks. So, yeah, that was the start of my illustrious career in entertainment, and I'm still here.
Well, we're glad you are here. I mean, obviously, Mike, you'd done stuff before, so you're coming into Star Wars knowing it's a big project. Yeah. Brian, you're starting off with Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's a good place to be, isn't it?
It's a very good place to be.
It is, yeah. I didn't know anything about Star Wars, but I never saw the first film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not my sort of film, actually. I like adventure films, stuff like that.
So when you're working on Jedi, then, I mean, it's a busy set and there's all the anticipation and there's lots going on. I mean, what was your experience working on it? Was it just, because you hear this from different performers, it was just another job. Was it just another? It wasn't just another job for you. It was your first job, but was it just another job, or did you knew it was special?
What? Do you want me to go? I don't. No, when you work in a film or anything like stage or anything like that. You don't sit around, if the other members of the cast, you sit and chat and all this, because you've got to concentrate, you've got to be ready to go on, and if you have any lines, you've got to know them, and be ready to go on, and things like that. I never talked to Harrison Ford or anybody that, you don't go up and say, how you doing, Harrison? Yeah, all right. No, you don't, because you leave them alone and things like that. And I always say this to kids in acting, on stage. You have to have discipline. Discipline in yourself. You've got to be there on time. You've got to be dressed. You've got to...
Sorry, I was late.
Yes, exactly. But, and things like that. And you don't touch things. Kids, especially on stage, because things are set on the side stage for the person to come on, grab a hold of it, and walk on stage, whether it's a sword or things like that. So when you do panto and things like that, kids interfere. They start playing around with it, and they move it and things like that. And you mustn't do that, because it's all set there for a set purpose.
Yeah.
And things like that. So, and I always say to kids, if you're on stage, don't mess around, don't grin and talk to the bloke next to you or make giggle and things like that. Because I say, of that whole theatre, and it could be like the size of this place, wouldn't it? Yeah? And I say, 30 or 40 people are looking at you at that time. Even though you're not being the main part of the scene or anything like that, there's 30 people looking at you.
That's a good
so
point.
So you've got to keep that sense, of what's going on. You've got to react to what's going on and things like this,
For everything in one location, daily news, reviews, interviews, podcasts, video and social media feeds, bookmark FanthaTracks.com for Star Wars news 24/7, 365.
And on a busy set, I mean, you've got to be focused, I guess, like you say, because there's people running around left, right and centre. The camera's only on for a short time, isn't it?
Well, also, for me to go on to Return of the Jedi, as I say, it was the first job, but it was also the first time I'd met any small people, because all my family were all six-footers. Well, they still are. They haven't shrunk. And so they're all six-footers. So I actually never met small people before. And then suddenly I'm on this film set with 30 or 40 small people, all the same height as me, that I can look face to face or look down on, because I'm one of the tallest. And that was quite strange. And being on a set and you're talking, which you do part of, and you talk about experiences of why you're small, what do you do, what can't you do. And for me, it was a good learning curve of being small, teaching me how to be small again. So that was quite interesting.
That's a big life thing, though, isn't it? But to walk into that scenario you've never been in before, that's something else.
Yeah, no, I'd never met a small person particularly before, and it was just quite bizarre. And there was a guy that I got very friendly with, and I used to call him my dwarf dad, because things I didn't know about when I was growing up, my dad wouldn't understand about being a dwarf, and he could explain it to me after all those years of just silly little things, that wouldn't matter to anybody else. But it was nice, and it was just like bizarre.
Yeah.
So that's the other side of being on the film for the first time.
Yeah, that's a big takeaway, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you worked, I mean, Elstree, I'm presuming you were at Elstree, both of you. Yeah. Yeah. So in being in Elstree, I mean, like I say, Boreham Wood, they used to call it Boring Wood or something like that. You know, there wasn't an awful lot going on there.
But it was Boreham Wood.
It was all right.
Yeah, it's where they filmed EastEnders as well.
That's
so.
right. Yeah.
And that was in the ATV studio opposite, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
But now they do all these quiz shows.
That's right. Put your mic to your mouth.
Sorry, darling. I shall project.
There you go. Back wall.
Boreham Wood now, or Elstree they call it.
Yeah.
Boreham Wood.
I mean, I think where you guys filmed the Ewok scenes, isn't it Tesco's car park now or something crazy like that?
I haven't been back for a long time.
I've been back there once, but it's all different now, you know, it's completely changed. And you used to be able to just walk in there, didn't you?
Yeah, and we took our own cameras.
Yeah.
When now you film and you get cameras taken off of you, phones taken off of you, you're not allowed to say what film you're doing or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Where then I had my own pictures, I took my own photos, and that's when people found out that me and Andy particularly, were Jawas. We weren't listed, and I showed these photos of us with our heads on. Not these heads, obviously. And we didn't have heads on, and people went, "Oh, you were the actual Jawas." And so that started off another part of doing Comic Cons.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the Ewok costumes, what were the challenges? And presumably vision
the main thing with the Ewok was the restriction of movement.
Right.
Because you start off with like a white linen pyjama against your body. That soaks up all the sweat,
Yeah.
You know, it soaks up all the sweat and stuff. And then on the top of that goes all the lumps and bumps of the muscles and the thingies and things like that. Oh, you going? Oh, yeah. But no, you know, and the lumps and bumps. Then over the top of that goes the fur skin, and that's all joined up. The last thing that goes on is the head, and that's where they had the problems, wasn't it? Because the main problem when they put the head on, the eyes steam up because your body sweats, and the sweat goes up into the head part and all your eyes. So it was funny the first shot, I tell you, because there was all these Ewoks running around and they're all bumping into each other. They're all falling over and everything. It was so funny. But, so how they got over it, they tried several different methods. But the one that they found was successful, wasn't it? Like smoothing fairy liquid.
That's
just
right,
a thin film of fairy liquid on each of the inside of the eyes. It's not near our eyes, but it was away from us a bit. And that's how they come over it, you know, and that stopped it steaming up.
They even tried drilling holes, didn't they, to give us gaps in their eyes. But that just like you could see even tinier gap. You could see nothing.
Yeah.
So I suppose with that, I mean, you're not learning dialogue, obviously, as an Ewok, but
you still have to do gesture and movement.
Yeah.
Surprise, you know, things like that, or fear.
So you're acting, you know, big moves to sort of show.
Like miming. Miming, really.
Yeah.
So you have to do it like that.
And I guess, like you say, if the vision's not the best, Anthony Daniels always said, you know, you plot the route to where you're going, you kind of know the steps.
Well, you try to, but when you're outside in forests and things like this, there's roots and everything, you know, brambles and things like that,
And what was that like? Obviously, you travelled over to the States to do some scenes as well.
We went to California, and then we went up into Oregon, and then into the redwood forest. So we was on the a place called Brookings, which is on the coast of the States, just above California in Oregon, and we used to bus up into the redwood forest area, and as I say, all under strict security.
And I mean, that just visually, just to be in that place, it's an incredible place to be.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, I mean, when I was at school, I'd never been abroad or anything like that at all. Yeah, but now we go everywhere, don't we?
We go all sorts of places now.
In Japan 5 times working, and all places like that. You know, so great.
Do you enjoy the travel? Do you enjoy getting around? I mean, clearly you enjoy talking about your experiences, both of you. So do you enjoy doing events and stuff?
Yeah, sometimes the travelling's a pain of getting it organised and moving. But once we're there or whatever, we've seen some great sights and we've had some good laughs as well.
I'm getting to the stage in my life now where the travelling gets a bit of a bind because, you have to help me upstairs, things like that. And you have to preempt what's going to happen. Getting on planes and, how you go around airports for ages and making sure there's wheelchair assistance.
Yeah.
You have to tell people, I need assistance, and things like that. So it is a challenge, and, it's a relief when it's all over.
Yeah, but we have some funs.
We have some fun, Him and I, I'll tell him if you like. One of the jobs we had was we got hired to go to Dubai to be as little hosts at a prince's
birthday party. Yeah.
Massive place, great big house, all the sheiks there and things like this. And anyway, him and I would go round and say, "Are you okay for drinks?" That's all we had to do. Make sure everybody was drinks, and then we didn't have to go and get them. We just got a waiter to come over and make sure they were being served and things like that. And then we only did about an hour, didn't we?
Yeah.
Then they said, "All right, lads, go and get yourself a drink and go and join the fun," which we did.
We did, and we were there an extra day. And me and Mike stayed in the hotel by the bar. Everyone else went swimming. We sat by the bar.
I can't swim anyway.
But going back on the seeing of Ewoks and stuff, there's one scene in Return of the Jedi that you need to sneak and have a look. Is when Harrison Ford's hanging up on the spit. Yeah. He's talking to Mark Hamill, and then he suddenly moves his head. It's because we say about the vision as an Ewok that we couldn't see a lot. I hit him in the head with a lump of wood that I was supposed to be putting underneath him. I missed and hit him, and he just jumped because he had a lump of wood hit him in the head. Well, yeah. And that was still in the scene, if you look carefully. That sort of twitches.
So not many people get one over on Harrison Ford, so that's a ticket.
No, they don't.
He was a nice guy.
Yeah, he was a lovely guy. Yeah, they're all lovely. But Harrison Ford was just concentrating on his work. Yeah. But Mark Hamill was life and soul. He was chatty, friendly, always got time. But the lovely thing is when he does Comic Cons and things, he wants to sign to a person, because if he doesn't sign to a person, he says it goes on eBay. I think a lot of my stuff today's gone on eBay.
Hello, I'm Ahmed Best, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
One of the things you did, Mike, you were in Jabba's tail.
Oh yeah.
I mean that classic Making a Jedi video with you inside there.
Oh crikey, yeah. That was Robert Watts. I was doing Logray, the Medicine Man Ewok, and then I was, when you're not working, you just rest. And he come into where we were based, and he said, "Mike, I've got another job for you." He said, "Come with me." So he took me to a big workshop at Elstree, where they make all the wooden stuff and things like that. And there was a big wooden skeleton of Jabba. And there was various bits and pieces and things like that. He said, "Right, see that bit there, just there? Go and see can you sit in there all right? He said, "You're not too cramped or anything like that." I said, "No, it's fine. Why?" He said, "Oh, right, that's your job. You're the towel operator of Jabba." And there's three of us in there, two normal-sized guys, and myself doing the towel. Now, I was sat down, so I was quite comfortable. I had a monitor, like a television monitor strapped to my chest, so I could see what's going on outside through the camera, what the camera was seeing. So as soon as it got to me and my bit, whether Jabba was in a temper or he was, very, feeling a bit sexy or something like this, that's how you act. And I used to act like the cat would, if you stroke the cat, you go, "Oh, nice, I like that," that sort of thing. So you do it nice and stuff. And then if you're at temper, you flash the towel around. That's what I used to do. And I was the supplier of sweets in there and stuff like that. But, now everybody thinks it's cramped. It wasn't cramped because it's built on a stage like this. So, we worked from under there you see. So, and then the big body was on top of that. Yeah.
So you got
Yeah,
plenty
so
of room.
you go underneath, come up to where your position was, and things like that. So when I wasn't, doing the towel bit, they were just doing the head. I used to read the paper, and stuff like that. It got boring, But and things like that. And I was the supplier of sweets, and I had to unwrap them and give them to the other, the two puppeteers who were doing things like that.
See, I was going to say you were in a video called Remember Thou Hats, and now you're a man with many hats, handing out sweets, flicking tails.
Everything's a challenge, and I like challenges.
Yeah.
I don't like saying, no, I don't want to do it. That's easy.
Yeah.
That's easy, It's like, because I've got this spinal problem, which happens to a lot of little guys. The spinal, and things like that. It's called spinal stenosis. It's collapsed vertebrae, and that's pressed against the nerves, power my legs go. So people say, oh, have you got a stair lift and things like that? I say, no, I walk up the stairs. I know it's hard for me, but then I feel that if you say, oh, I'll get a stair lift, I'll get this, I'll get that, you're giving in. You're taking a step backwards all the time. So you've got to accept that challenge again, as I say.
And it's a motivation, I guess, as well, isn't it? So
Sorry?
it's a motivation for you as well.
Well, that's right. You've got to. Otherwise, you're dead.
Yeah.
Enjoy every day, I say,
Agreed. Brian, Jedi was the start for you.
Yeah.
What came next?
It was Never Ending Story, which was amazing, because that was my first time abroad.
Yeah.
And went out there, and I was in the Ivory Tower. And people often ask me, oh, you was in that? That was a great scene. What did you play? And only recently I've actually told people I was a mushroom. A talking mushroom.
But you're a fun guy to be.
Yeah, Mike said I was a fun guy to be with. But the only trouble was there was three of us, and two of us were English, and one was German. And the German guys kept changing because they couldn't do what we do. Because the British, as Mike says, if you say they can't do it, we do it and we get on with it. Where the Germans wouldn't do it, and so they kept changing. And one day I heard all this commotion going on outside. And when you're told to stand somewhere on a film set, you stand there and you don't move, particularly till something happens or you get told to move. So I'm just standing there in this mushroom big head, and all I can see is like that. And I can hear all this commotion going on. And suddenly, I don't know what happened, but my head flew off. Buckets of water came towards me. Flannels, towels came towards me, and everybody started talking in German to me. And I went, what? And they said, oh, we thought you'd collapsed. We thought you were the German and you weren't answering us. I went, I'm English. I don't know what a word you're on about. So that happened to me, yeah. So I was a mushroom.
You're too good at your job.
I was just standing there like a mushroom.
So when you look back at your careers, respectively, what is it? I mean, it ain't finished yet. There's still stuff to do. But what moment would you look and go, wow, that was a big moment for me. That was a special moment. What would you say?
Well, I think working for the Shakespeare Company, I think that was good to even be asked to be in it, you know, and passing the test for it and things like this. I think that was great because, it's an English thing. It's really, your diction's got to be good. You've got to, be on time, and stuff like this. And I really enjoyed that. But I enjoy anything, we used to do all sorts of things, didn't we? Like the Goodies and Dave Allen's show, Little and Lars, and all those sorts of
pop videos.
Doing little silly little gags.
Yeah, pop videos like and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's all experience, And I did a series called Maid Marian and a Merry Men. And it was a spoof of Robin Hood and things like that for children's television. And we did it for 4 years. Every May we'd go out down to...
Sherwood?
No, not Sherwood. Down Minehead, down around that area, Porlock and stuff, all that up on Exmoor and things like that. And we'd go and film with 6 episodes, and then we'd do a special. And we did it for 4 years, and we ended up winning the BAFTA for the Best Kids Programme, which that's nice as well.
That's it's impressive.
I was part of that,
Little Ron.
Yeah, that's me, Little Ron. I used to beat everybody up. They send me in to sort everybody out.
You still do?
Yep.
Well, for me, for two things. One was Top Gear, which I drove with Richard Hammond, and that was me. That was Brian Wheeler, which was quite fun. And I've been spotted today for it. The lads have come up and asked me about what happened and everything, and I told them some stuff that nobody knows happened because that sort of thing. And also I was in Phantom of the Opera, the film, with Gerard Butler, which didn't quite go as well as it should have done because I didn't make it wonderful. But I thoroughly enjoyed it because I was the only small person on there, and I had everything looked after for me. I had dressers, makeup. I had my own little chair even they gave me. So I had a decent seat while I was waiting. And the cameramen just said, if you face that way, you'll be in shot. If you face that way, you won't be. So make sure you're facing that way. So, that was my two major things that I thoroughly enjoyed.
That's fantastic. We've run out of time already. That is the fastest half an hour I've had for a long time. Can we have a round of applause for these fine gentlemen?
Thank you.
And can we just say thank you for you lot for coming to see us at the shows and the films and everything, because if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here.
That's right. Without you, we're nothing. So there you go.
Well, my mum thinks I'm something. My mum loves me.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for listening to Making Tracks. If you want to be a part of the action and stay updated on all the latest Star Wars news, visit fanthatracks.com or check out the free Fantha Tracks app through the App Store to follow us on your mobile device. You can reach out to us and send in your listeners' questions by emailing radio@fanthatracks.com. Comment, like and share on any of our social media feeds at Fantha Tracks, and be sure to subscribe, leave a review, preferably a 5-star one, on Amazon Music, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, for your podcatcher or smart speaker of choice. And as always, thanks to James Temple for composing the Fantha Tracks intro, Adam O'Brien for our Making Tracks opening music, and Mark Daniel and Vanessa Marshall for our voiceovers. Remember, tune in to Good Morning Tatooine. It's live Sunday evenings at 9 o'clock UK, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on Facebook and YouTube. And check out our Fantha Tracks Radio Friday night rotation every Friday night at 7 p.m. UK time for new episodes of The Fantha from Down Under, Planet Leia, Desert Planet Discs, Start Your Engines, Collecting Tracks, Cannon Fodder, and special episodes of Making Tracks. And that's me done for this episode.
Coming up next on Fantha Tracks Radio, it's another episode of Making Tracks.